spoilerios about spoilerios. Let's roll.
Hi, I'm Sean Baker, and this is Evolution of the Arm. It's a Twin Peaks post-episode discussion. 3 and 4 just dropped for the normal Showtime subscribers. I watched them last week. I watched them again. I wanted to drop this right after, so here are my thoughts. Please, if you have some of yours, post them in the comments below. So, where episode 2 ended with Cooper being cast into non-existence by the Arm's doppelganger, which was conceptually and in execution, I thought, mind-blowing, the Arm having a doppelganger, especially in that form. We go to the beginning of episode 3, where he's still falling through this non-existent, lands in a purple balcony on, we don't know what this is. Actually reminded me a lot of a Lovecraft story called The Crawling Chaos. This balcony is overlooking a black ocean. It's gorgeous. Some of my favorite Lynch imagery yet. Just really primordial almost in what it triggers in my mind. Cooper goes inside. There's a woman without eyes. Now, what I love so much about this scene was, for those of us that are, have long been familiar with the show, if you think back to the first time you saw the Red Room with the backward speech and stuff like that, it was jarring. It was disorienting. You had to acclimate to it in order to kind of get past the effect and get to what is being presented to you information-wise. Now we're used to that. So the Black Lodge or the waiting room and its backward speech and all those things, they're like second nature to us. We love them. It's comforting. So I feel like in this scene, Lynch has found a way to do something new that is jarring and disorienting. So this footage, I don't know what the technique would be called, but it stutters, it loops and kind of scratches back and forth. It definitely gave you the impression, as I believe it was supposed to, that Cooper is somewhere in between. He's in a non-space, non-existence, right? Through up a ladder, through a hatch in the roof, and they're on top of what appears to be some kind of a satellite or whatever. Now this really got me thinking. In the series, in the second season, there's a whole thing where Major Briggs comes to Cooper and says, part of my job is maintaining and cataloging information from these monitors pointed at deep space. And he says, gibberish radio waves, and then all of a sudden, Cooper, and the owls are not what they seem. Now, it's later, I believe, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, this matches up to when the time that this transmission was intercepted by Major Briggs' satellites matches up to when the Giant actually visited Cooper when he was lying with the bullet in him on the floor and says these same things. But it is interesting because I found myself wondering if Cooper is the one that sends himself the message. Now, subsequently, also, Major Briggs disappears and one of his superiors shows up and says, I don't know what you thought you knew or what he told you, but those monitors aren't pointed at deep space, they're pointed at the woods around Twin Peaks. This could be disinformation, this maybe doesn't mean anything at all, but I think that it was important to note that now Cooper is apparently in deep space, and then Major Briggs' face flows by at one point and says Blue Rose. Special thanks to my girlfriend Kirsten and my good friend Seth, who pointed out there is a blue rose on the table in that room, tying this together with also the blue rose cases mentioned in the movie Fire Walk With Me. So then when Cooper comes back down, there's another woman there, and it's Ronette, or if it's not Ronette, it's Phoebe Augustine, who played Ronette. She's credited as American Girl. I have no theories as to what this is. It's very strange. She says, my mother's coming. This is an acknowledgement of this successive loud banging that's happening somewhere outside. Dying to see what this is. Love the fact he doesn't show us. Cooper eventually gets out of that and goes through some kind of an electrical outlet. Reminded me of Fire Walk With Me, where there is a telephone pole. And the telephone pole actually has the numbers 24810 written in a sequence, and then the number 6 below it. Now, there was a lot of articles at the time in the Wrapped in Plastic magazine and elsewhere. It's kind of early stages of the internet, so there wasn't as much information or discussion disseminated or as easy to come by. So there was some talk about the numerology, whatever. I don't remember what any of that is, but it's important to note now, numbers are starting to play a part. The one-armed man telling Cooper 253 time and again. Again, another number thing. The junkie mom in the abandoned house in Vegas screaming 119, 119. These are, different elements that are going to eventually come together to some degree, but whether or not we're going to have to work to figure them out, that's the question. I don't think Lynch is really going to give us very many concrete answers. I want to loop back real quick to the first episode, something I didn't mention last time, but because Major Briggs' appearance, the corpse that they find that Matthew Lillard's character is being blamed for killing, it's Ruth Davenport's head, who he's having an affair with, but then it's a male torso, or at least appears to be a male torso. They run the prints on this torso to the police in South Dakota, and it comes back as classified military. I'm wondering if that's Major Briggs' torso. Now, it's implied in The Secret History of Twin Peaks that Bad Cooper kills the Major. Now, that was a long time before this sequence of events, but if the body or Major Briggs himself was actually brought to the Black Lodge. So the bad Cooper is out, the good Cooper's in the lodge. The good Cooper cannot leave, the arm says, until the doppelganger returns. It appears that the reason he gets out is because then they pull Dougie back in, and then the one-armed man, Mike, tells him, you were manufactured for a purpose, and that is no longer needed, or I forget how he says it, and then Dougie disappears. So he's a placeholder? There's a lot of speculation online that there are other placeholders in this series right now. Was Hastings' wife a placeholder? Bad Coop says to her right before he shoots her in the back of the head, you behaved exactly like human nature. I tend to think that just is an observation he makes, and he's kind of thinking how trite humans are. They always behave like according to their nature. But there's speculation that this is because she's not human, but she is adhering to human nature. When Dougie dissipates, the owl ring falls off his finger. Mike picks it up and puts it on a table. It's a black table with a gold, almost seashell base. It's the same table Laura... there's a sequence in Fire Walk with Me with the ring where the arm is holding up the ring. It's from that table. As Good Coop, who is now taking Dougie's place, Jade, the prostitute, is driving him to the casino. They pass a street sign that says Sycamore Lane or Sycamore Avenue. And then we also have that he lives in Lancelot Court. So we have that kind of repeating the sycamore trees and the King Arthur mythology repeating between the woods around Twin Peaks where he entered the Black Lodge and now this subdivision in Vegas where he exited. It reminds me a lot of Stephen King's books, The Dark Tower. In that series, places repeat in different ways across different planes. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, although what it means in the mythology of Twin Peaks, I have no idea. Props to Michael Cera. I've never really been a fan, but his scene is my favorite of the first 4 episodes. He absolutely killed it, and I thought that it was a good bit of levity injected into a pretty disorienting and somewhat heavy 2 episodes. 4th episode ends with Albert and Agent Preston and Gordon. They're going to take Bad Coop to Twin Peaks because they need somebody there. They mention her to see him, and they don't say who it is, and Albert says, I know where she drinks, and we cut immediately to the Roadhouse again. There's talk online that it's Sarah Palmer, and I'm not sure where they got that from. I'm not saying they're wrong. I feel like maybe I missed something, so that'd be a good thing if you have any theories on that or who they're taking him to see. I'd love to see it in the comments, and I'll drop another episode next week, and in the meantime, just see you in the trees.